Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome once again to the Bourse Report. Today, we take a look at the half-year results of two companies listed on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. The first being Angostura Holdings Limited, and the second, National Flour Mills, or NFM. As we look at these companies, investors have been asking me, how can we hedge against the US dollar by investing in the Trinidad and Tobago stock? Well, importantly, AHL or Angostura is a net earner of foreign exchange, whereas National Flour Mills or NFM actually is a net user of foreign exchange. Let's go to some of the graphs and look first at Angostura. What you see is for the 6-month period, Angostura's earnings per share is down 6.3%, and it had a significant legal issue cost, which in total was about 31 cents, which in total was about $31 million. And if that was not the case, it may have been up. The point is that it's down, adjusted earnings notwithstanding, revenues are flat. And net income, as you would see, is down. Let's take a look at what's happened with the revenues over the past few years. You would see it is a flat lining that is taking place right across the board, where revenues since 2012 had been at the half year to 288 million and up to 291, but down now to 278. And this notwithstanding what has happened to the foreign exchange side, where income from the currency gain is $6.5 million, yet notwithstanding that, the cost of the legal issue. A provision was made last half year of $17 million, and this year $14 million. In total, $31 million for that legal issue. Let's go to our next graph. If we can get, in terms of the revenue trend, let's see, we are kind of stuck here, but we'll talk a little bit about what's happening with margins. Both in the case of Angostura as well in the case of NFM, margins have been improving as costs of sale relative to sales has been falling as a proportion, as you would see here. But as I said, notwithstanding this, for Angostura, we've had some fall in terms of earnings. What can we say about it? Well, if you look at another factor, Angostura and NFM as part of the manufacturing sector one, you see with AHL what's happening in terms of the P multiple as well as the dividend yield. P multiple 18.2 times relative to this market, which is about 21, this sector and overall market 17. So level pegging there or thereabouts, but its dividend payout ratio is about the second lowest in the market. Compare the P multiple NFM, and what you will see, NFM has tremendous upside in terms of valuation, where its PE is 8 times. Let's go and have a look now at NFM. Earnings up from 17 cents to 18 cents. Moderate growth, but good in the sense of what's happening with the currency situation and the difficulty of accessing currency and so on. Revenues, you would see, has fallen in terms of what's happening to 245 million to 237. Profits grew, as I said, from the 25 million to the 28 million, and the profit after tax climbed 3.1%. Going back to Angostura Holdings, we have a neutral on Angostura in terms of what our recommendation is. But for NFM as well, when you look at the margin trends and you go back, you would see, as we mentioned, that the margins are up 2016 versus 2015, both in terms of gross profit, which is the yellow line, operating margin, as well as net profit. So let's see what's happening next, and as we go to the next graph. Again, the question of margin trends, we've showed you that, and what is our outlook and what's the situation with NFM. I mentioned already, 89% of NFM's sales is in the Trinidad and Tobago market, 89%. So compared to Angostura, where a large chunk, probably about 50% of revenues comes from external sale. Food, animal feed, 61%, which is your flour and so on, and animal feed, 26%. Our outlook for NFM continues to be challenged with regard to the currency, yet still I see it as quite probable that they will continue to get currency since flour is a staple in the diet of Trinidadians. So that our outlook for NFM, as we said, neutral. When you look at what's happening with regard to the earnings per share, good story going up from 17 cents to 18 cents in the first half of the year. And the share price itself has come down from about 270, 272 at the beginning of the year down to 230. Outlook reasonably good. The challenge is, of course, currency and access to currency to continue generating their sales. On this basis, we also hold a neutral for NFM. So that's it for today. Look for us in the newspapers for our mutual funds under the rubric Bourse as well as Save Invest. And go to our website to get much more details about what is happening in this market overall and more information about what's happening with these two particular stocks, Angostura as well as NFM. Have yourself a wonderful investment week. This is Subhash Ramkilawan for the Bourse Report.